Well, isn't this a treat? I get to sit here with people of the internet talking about comics. And I'm your host, Lord Yankee of Lord Yankee's Comics. Welcome. And what the best thing you love about comics? Free comic book day. I'm just kidding. No, it's the worst. I mean, you get crappy comics that come in. You get all these garbage tier sites like SJW Marvel. You get somewhat DC, but then all the SJW ones like Antarctic Press, and you get all these garbage tiers like Black Comics. Not the Race. Shut up. No, but the just everything else. You get all these other major comic book publishers who just push these identity politics and agendas and stuff on a regular basis. But then, of course, what do you think they're going to give you on Free Comic Book Day basis? Just trash. Just stuff they just throw everywhere. Just throw it out. Just throwing it out there. Just giving you free comic books. I went through my entire comic book shop. I went to my comic book shop on Free Comic Book Day. I got a whole pile of comic books that I got for free. And, of course, I bought some other good ones because I do want to have good stories to read. Oh, God. Nick Spencer's Spider-Man. Whew. Gosh, honestly, that makes good toilet paper, but unfortunately, I think my butt would be insulted if I just used Spider-Man as a toilet paper. Nick Spencer's Spider-Man as toilet paper. But moving on from that. But this is not. I give you Lady Mechanika, written by an independent writer, Joe Benitez, who has been around in the industry for a little while and started his own company, Benitez Productions, and so on and so forth. And Lady Mechanika started out, I want to say a couple of years ago, but if you know the exact date, just tell me in the comments section. But I went to my comic book store and I picked up the first volume of Lady Mechanika, and I said to myself, the art looks kind of cool. I mean, the chick's hot. I mean, Mechanika's hot. We're all going to say that. But I was like, if the story sucks, I like the art. And I was blown away by the art, just by the art alone. But then I skipped through the book and I'm like, yes! This is the story I've been wanting. This is a sci-fi story that is steampunk, that is kick-ass heroine. I'm talking about the woman, now, not the drugs. Now, stop snickering in the back. Stop. I hear you. Stop snickering. And, just kidding. And I'm like, this is the book we've been waiting for. This is the kind of stories we want. These are the kind of stories we want. And it comes with two different stories. You have the first one called The Demon of Satan's Alley, and then, of course, you have an all-new story called 2, which, hence the idea I'm thinking Mechanika met her doppelganger. But I want to go start off first with the first story. We start off with her on her night patrol on the roof. This is part of her character of being a vigilante, solving crime in the city of Mechanika, which is the name of the city and the setting of most of the show, of the entire run of this book so far. And I gotta say, the character designs, the stories are really good. This goes along with issue 0 of the first issue of Lady Mechanika, which was like the first volumes and the first books of Lady Mechanika. And I'd say for maybe on the live stream, I would actually want to talk more about issue of volume 1, because it took me a while to figure out that I want to do a trade paperbacks on live streams and just a single issue such as this on regular daily videos. But if you have any other suggestions, ideas of what I should do to try to properly display, talk about either paperbacks and single issues, just tell me. Just straight up tell me, and I will make it possible. So yeah, she starts off on her night patrols let me switch the panoramic zoom like this. I like this. Get a good view of the books. Just these stupid glares in these garages. Wow. You get a chance to see Mechanika in action doing her night patrols on the roof, and she catches word about a creature that has part mechanical limbs, just like hers, and she thinks that's kind of odd. You get a creature with mechanical limbs such as myself, so you put 1 and 2 together and you realize that could have something that ties to my past. And so she goes after this creature. And what does she stumble on? She gets into a little fight with it and then starts talking with it more and knocks this thing out and realizes that we're not so different after all, and offers an apple in sense of peace, and since like I'm not here to hurt you, but we gotta get you out of here before the bad guys show up, which is Blackwell Armories, which is that armory is a I mean, a lot of times it's like a private military, but it's also military contractors. Of course, they want to take that and take the creature in and actually study it. Now, does it have any ties to Mechanica's origin? Was she tied to that armory, to that company and stuff? No. But they want to have the technology for themselves so they can reverse engineer it and use it for whatever means of their own endeavors, which is a bad thing. Yes, people, it's not a good thing. It's a bad thing. And so she gets she talks to it and tries to figure out, well, was your backstory, and says, sorry, I'm so afraid, and then about to go into detail about her origin and where she came from, and says that because the creature somehow remembers her and wants to, and is about to say that your name and what her real name was, and next thing you know, pretty much like a Logan's Run thing, because you ever watch Logan's Run, he's about to just reach out and grab his hand out and reach about, like saying, I got you, about to reach out, and next bam, and falls. And everyone uses that terminology for like something from Logan's Run, which I can't wait until they actually can get the final treatment for a actual Logan's Run movie, another remake of it. And that's could be a conversation for another time, because I can think of quite a few other movies that can get a remake that I think would do well. Logan's Run, and definitely that movie Metropolis, that old silent film from the 20s. So she's like, so why did you do this? What's your cause of this? And saying, it's an abomination. It's full of mystery, but we want to get it for its I'm sorry, not Blackwell, I meant Blackpool. Yeah, Blackpool Armories. They wanted to shoot it and get a hold of it so they can study it. And of course, Mechanica's pissed because you kind of cock blocked me on my on my information I want to know. You blocked me on that, and now I'm going to have to try to figure out some other means of it, in which I don't have much to go by. So, in the sake of copyright gods and for the sake of all that good jazz, and I don't want to get striked on, I'd say check out Volume 1. It's a really good story. It's a good introduction. Although I'd say my favorite story out of Lady Mechanica is actually the latest one that came out not too long ago, La Dama de la Muerte. I don't know my Spanish. I really don't know Spanish that much, but I just try to pronounce it as best as possible. But La Dama de la Muerte was a story like the Mexican Day of the Dead, and that book alone can kind of tell you exactly what kind of character Mechanica is, and what that a female character that can have flaws and that can make mistakes and can learn from them and be a better person. Now we have the story called 2, which is this one here is a story that it's more of an origin thing that kind of can get her more information about her past. And so she's here in her evening gown, and it's just funny that I just realized, like, you're wearing slippers and you have mechanical limbs. I'm like, I was wondering, can you feel like if like someone poked you? No, but you're made of metal. It's not it's not like biological reasons or anything like that. It's no, it should just be mechanical. But I'm rambling on about that. That's a good discussion I might have for my personal time and thinking about. This here has Mechanica about to ready to go upstairs, go to bed, and she gets a knocking from her friend and inventor, Archibald Lewis. Now, you're wondering, and she's like saying, go away, Mr. Lewis. He's like, I am for bed. And she's like, oh, please open the door. I need to talk to you. And, of course, what does he do? He opens the damn door and comes in. You're like, and she wonders, and wonder why do I even bother giving you the spare key? Archibald Lewis is really one of the best supporting characters next to Mechanica. If you want to think about what would you consider Archibald Lewis to be? I consider more or less like the Lucas Fox for Mechanica, where he builds her the gadgets and toys, like his flying machines in particular, and his gliders, like she would later use in other books. Like in the first volume, she uses it to fly to the top of a Zeppelin and investigate a missing persons report, because it's a missing persons case in the first volume. So he explains to back to what we're talking about, and he explains that this that we just made a recent discovery of. He caught word about Blackpool Armories as actually gotten a hold of a mechanical limb that's very similar to Mechanica's, and gives heads up and leeways for this, and says that they had to rush and quickly get it, and they said the arm is very similar to hers, and not many people in the universe of Mechanica know how to make a special arm and special material, because hers is very unique. Because you look, I mean, the arms and stuff is very unique compared to any other prosthetics and any other things like that. And from that, she gets intrigued by that, by having a limb that's very similar to hers, has ties to her origin. And of course, Alter Ball working at the armory, I'm gonna say, gives her details like that place is going to be lightly guarded at night, and it's going to be kept in a vault that's not open to the general public. But she's, of course, being Mechanica, flies in and wants to go in and get a hold of this mechanical arm. And she busts in through the top and goes looking for the arm. She gets to the vault, and she's intrigued by it. Now, I'm going to have to take a look to see what the copyright gods might want to offer me and what kind of things I want to do but not want to do, in terms of, like, what pages do I want to show you guys. I'll show you a bit of the robotic arm. It looks very similar to hers, and so getting this arm away from Blackpool and running her own personal investigations, of course, she's thinking, I got to take this with me and go and find the source and find who made the arm. And there was a bit of a hint on who the creator was, the person who made her into this was in the first episode, in the first volume, at the very last issue of the first volume, and it didn't pander out to anything else because she had to save the day. So, long story short, she gets encountered by Blackpool armories, and she gets into a brawl with them, because you're in their place and you're like, get away from it. And it turns out, yes, actually, no, it's a malicious play. It's another group who's actually after the same weapons, the same gear. And so she tussles, fights with all of them, knocks them all out, except for the last person. And guess who that is? Drum roll. Yeah, I know my drum roll sucks. A doppelganger. Her doppelganger. Someone who looks similar to her and actually has her whole memory of knowing who she is. But, like, who is that, and why does she look exactly like her in the face? All except for the cool Raven slick back haircut and stuff, which that was pretty cool. And then they get into a brawl and fighting with each other, and that's the cool thing about the fight, is that they are very similar to their fighting styles. They know she can predict Mechanica's moves from kicks to dive punches and everything else, in the sky. So it tells you a lot more about what kind of person is Mechanica. Like, is she an actual person, or is she a clone? My theory is along the lines of that she's a clone, and she's working for this person who created Mechanica, because she takes the limb and she escapes with it and disappears. And so she has to plan another day, and of course I can't flip to the last page because, I really don't want to copyright strike on the first episode of issue 1 of, lo and behold, of Lord Yankees Comics. Overall, great story, great book, and you know what I noticed in this book that all the other books don't have? I noticed in this book that all the other books have, but this one makes it unique. Okay, for one, no SJW crap. 2, it actually has a great story and a good heroine. And like I say again, I'm talking about the woman, not the drug. 3, we have women in this book actually look like women, and not actually looking like, look like a more or less like a butt nugget, or look like something that was made for an SJW comics galore that gets any SJW, balling and rolling around saying this is awesome. And the last part is it's created by a person who decided to get away from social norms of going to publishers, where the problem I have with publishers nowadays is that publishers, they tend to be more controlling, to having their own agendas, pushing their own things out there, while a person like Joe Benitez can just make his own book, write it the way he wants it to. Because I know he had Aspen Comics originally for Mechanica, like the first few issues, but eventually that petered out because there was either low sales. And so Joe Benitez said, you know what, screw it. I'm going to take my rights of Lady Mechanika and I'm going to publish my own stuff. And Joe Benitez did that. Joe Benitez said that it's best to just make your own stuff, let it go, and just make your own book and make it the way you want it to be made. And we should all strive to be like that, because that is what the future of the comic industry is going to wind up being like. It's the ending of one chapter, because Marvel is just making books that people don't want. That's why the comic book sales are low. That's why nobody is reading their books, because you're pushing in identity politics over actually writing a good substance and good book. And we've seen this time and time again within the last couple of years, where the books have gotten crappier in sales. You can go on comicron.com, which is, you can just read about that. And then you have gatekeepers holding on, like, is making it almost nearly impossible for anybody who has bright ideas to get into the comic book industry, and they've hired people off of surface traits, not actually by merit. And we see this often in the most recent case where I've heard about this a lot, and I've been mentioning, and I've been a really good and he's been doing a really good sport about handling this and not just blowing his lid about this, is Diversity in Comics. And Diversity in Comics creating Jawbreakers, he gets blocked by Mark Waid, who intimidates the comic book industry and intimidates Antarctic Press, and now he's filing a lawsuit against it. And I hope he wins that, because if he wins that, and if he doesn't, I mean, most likely, I believe, is that we're having Papa Disney running Marvel. They're just going to settle out of court. But if he does that, it's going to set a precedent way of how Marvel goes, and all these major publishing sites go forward. And especially in a day and age where you have Indiegogo, Kickstarters, and other GoFundMe programs, things like this could be created. We can make something for the fans, and you don't have to pander to a certain audience. Just make a good book, people. And that's what Mark Waid should have done originally. Just, instead of intimidating Arctic Press, why don't you actually make a good book to compete against them? That's what capitalism is for, and that's what the competing market is for. The market is there so that goods and public goods and services can be pushed through, and let the customer make the decision. Instead, you wanting to intimidate people, going off this whole entire communist, Marxist-based system of commerce. That is not how commerce works in America, at least. For the rest of the world, I'm not sure. But for America, that is not how it works. That's not how it works. And we're going to see more and more. And now I'm thinking, having Diversity in Comics have his 8,000 books, over 8,000 books, and I'm one of them. I was number 2,000 something. But 8,000 books of Jawbreakers, Lost Souls, getting purchased, getting backed, and getting purchased, and making almost $500,000 in Indiegogo funds, shows you that you can actually make your own comic and make your own publishing, which he created his own publication after Antarctic Press pussied out. It was called Splato Comics, which I like that name. I really do like that name. Hopefully this could be the start of a new beginning in comics, where you don't have to necessarily go to the publishers, and we're going to necessarily go to the publishers. You can self-publish yourself, and we're going to see, with the current trend Marvel and other publishers are going, it's a ticking time bomb waiting to go off. It's going to be it's a ticking bomb waiting to go off when the comic book industry is going to eventually implode on itself. Either Disney's going to have to clean house with Marvel, or they're going to have to hunker down and lock down these SJWs and stop pushing garbage tier books out. And because eventually the comic book industry is not going to take it anymore. They're not going to take it. And you're going to have people like Diversity in Comics and people like Joe Benitez and people like Ethan Van Sciver are going to make their own books, and not to mention have better control of the profits. And then who misses out on it? The big publishers. A lot of these people who have jobs there, who either make that as a livelihood or make this as a part-time thing to help pay the rent. And I'm rambling on, and I gotta actually cut this video short. But thanks for watching, and tell me if you want what other books you want me to talk about. Like I said, the big solid books and trade paperbacks, I want to review those with live streams. Single issues books like these, I want to just keep just to the normal of just having. I want to keep these normally just like videos like these. And this is the introduction of issue 1 of Lord Yankees Comics. And if you get a chance, subscribe. Hopefully you do subscribe, and hopefully I won't be nervous around the camera like this in the future, because I'll be doing this more. and I'll have more videos coming up later today or hopefully by tomorrow. So thanks and bye. And this is forgot to mention also. I'm pushing that whole entire idea of the move the needle thing. If you do see Lady Mechanika on your store shelves, whether it's trade paperback or single issues, take a snapshot of it and put it hashtag diversity in comics, hashtag move the needle. I don't have a Twitter yet put up, but I will be putting one up in the foreseeable future. And thank you, and have a good day.